the OnePlus 9 Pro and the OnePlus 9. Which one should you get? Let's talk about the differences so you can avoid making a mistake and help find out which one you should choose. First, we have to talk about the price of both of the phones. Now, this one's a bit unusual because the prices, if you go into the official OnePlus website, will only give you the option for the lowest tier OnePlus 9 and the highest tier OnePlus 9 Pro. That puts the prices at $729 and $1,069 for the OnePlus 9 and OnePlus 9 Pro respectively. That's a $340 difference. Now, it's important to explain what is different between the tiers and how they affect those prices. Both the OnePlus 9 and OnePlus 9 Pro offer the same 2 RAM and storage tiers, 8GB of RAM with 128GB of storage and 12GB of RAM with 256GB of storage. Because the OnePlus store only offers the ability to purchase the highest tier OnePlus 9 Pro and the lowest tier OnePlus 9, that creates a $340 difference in price, when in reality the difference in price between both models is only $241 if you compare the price between equal tiers. Oh, and I did find some of the stores that are offering the lower tier OnePlus 9 Pro and the higher tier OnePlus 9, so there's some links down below in the description to find the best deal and options between all of the different stores. I believe B&H is the only merchant that I found at the time of filming that allows you to buy those different models. So with those tiers clarified a little bit more, the question remains, is the difference between the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro worth $241? For the guts or the internals of the phones, thankfully they are essentially the same setup. The processor is the same, the quality of RAM and storage is the same, and the radios and the antennas are the same outside of the millimeter wave 5G, which is limited only to the OnePlus 9 Pro, so that probably really just makes it worth it if you're on Verizon. Surprisingly, the battery capacity of both devices is the same at 4,500 milliamps. They also both support the amazing warp charging feature that charges the phone from 0 to 100% in under 30 minutes with the official OnePlus 65-watt warp charger. That animation is so cool. Now for the big bummer, the OnePlus 9 can only charge at 15 watts with the wireless Qi charging, even on the official OnePlus Warp Charge 50 wireless charger. But the OnePlus 9 Pro can utilize the full 50 watts wireless charging, which means that you shouldn't get the OnePlus wireless warp charger unless you get the OnePlus 9 Pro. So all that raises a little bit of a question. Is this something that was an actual limitation based upon the hardware and managing the cost of that hardware? Or is this some arbitrary change simply to provide a pain point if you went with the normal 9 over the OnePlus 9 Pro? It's really hard to know for sure, but it would be really disappointing if it is a feature that is simply turned off on the normal 9. Now, if you really need wireless charging, it's kind of a thing that you use all the time, this may be a noble reason to go with the Pro over the 9. Now we gotta talk about the build quality of the OnePlus 9 and OnePlus 9 Pro. In terms of the haptics, they're the same. They're not really deep or substantial like you would have like on an iPhone, but it's not cheap or rattly feeling. It still leaves a lot to be desired though. The main difference is really the IP68 dust and water resistant. If you look at the SIM card trays, it looks like they both have a gasket on it though, so there's a good chance that they both have that water resistance. It's just that the OnePlus 9 Pro has paid for that certification. By not having the official certification on the regular 9, that does save some cost, which is ideally passed on to you. Now let's pay attention to the SIM card tray just a little bit closer. One thing you can notice is that on the OnePlus 9 Pro, it has a difference between the rest of the SIM tray. That's because I think that the OnePlus 9 Pro has a metal frame while the OnePlus 9 does not. If you wanted to, you can even kind of scratch the plastic on the SIM card tray. There's just something about holding the OnePlus 9 next to the OnePlus 9 Pro. The OnePlus 9 Pro feels a little bit heavier. It kind of has a little bit of that cold feeling that you would have with metal along the frame, while this one just kind of feels soft, but just has a little finish that kind of makes it look like it might be metal. Otherwise, they pretty much feel the same. And they even have this awful kind of fingerprinty little glossy finish to it that I just feel like I'm constantly cleaning. If you remember all those posts about how grimy and nasty the iPhone 12 Pro was on the side, well, imagine that on your phone on every single part of it. It really drives me nuts. I wish they went with the matte finish, but thankfully we have the channel sponsor dbrand. Dbrand has a bunch of skins available, like their robot camo that's back in stock. They have the MKB HD icon skins, and if you're not planning on getting a OnePlus device, they of course have options available for iPhone, Google Pixel, Samsung devices, and so much more. And of course, the grip cases that protect your phone. It's so grimy that I have cleaning wipes right next to me just for this video. So yeah, get a skin. Now let's talk about the screens. The OnePlus 9 has a 6.55 inch screen, while the OnePlus 9 has a 6.7 inch screen. You'll notice that the OnePlus 9 has a flat screen, but it also has this thing called a 2.5D curved screen. The best way to understand what a 2.5D screen is to look at an iPhone 12, which has a really flat screen, but no curve at the very edge, which is kind of the reason why a lot of people talk about holding it naked is kind of painful. It just digs in your hand. While a 2.5D screen has a little bit of a curve at the very edge to make it not as sharp feeling. On the OnePlus 9 Pro, it does still have a curve on the edge of the screen. It allows it to have a little bit more of that kind of bleeding over the edge kind of design, but they moved it over a little bit more to the edge compared to previous models. That means that there's less accidental touches and issues there. I still don't really prefer a curved screen, but I can live with this. Now, both of these do have 120 Hz refresh rate screens on them, but the OnePlus 9 has 120 Hz that's locked. It's stuck at 120 Hz. The OnePlus 9 Pro, on the other hand, has something called LTPO. Essentially, that does give you the option of 120 Hz, but it's a variable refresh rate. That means it can go down to 1 Hz if you're on something like text and you're not moving around enough, and that'll help you save some battery. Now, in terms of colors, the OnePlus 9 has HDR10 Plus support, while the OnePlus 9 Pro has 10-bit color, which means it can display over 1 billion colors. That's significantly more than the OnePlus 9. Now, in terms of brightness, the OnePlus 9 Pro is brighter at 1300 nits compared to the 1100 nits on the OnePlus 9. Now, the OnePlus 9 has a 1080 by 2400 resolution screen, which gives it a PPI of 402, while the OnePlus 9 Pro has a resolution of 1440 by 3216, which gives it a PPI of 526. Now, when you compare the difference between the OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro, there's actually a notable difference between the two. The combination of the variable refresh rate to save on battery and the higher resolution screen should kind of cancel itself out. As a whole, having a larger screen, a higher resolution, more colors, and that variable refresh rate along with that brighter screen, which makes it even better out in the sun, that is a compelling reason to go with the Pro over the normal 9. Now, we gotta talk about the cameras. This is probably the most significant difference between both of the phones. Well, at least on paper. In actual practice, well, I'm not so sure. The cameras as a whole are actually quite similar. The main difference is with the 48 megapixel Sony IMX689 sensor in the OnePlus 9, and then the 48 megapixel Sony IMX789 sensor in the OnePlus 9 Pro. It is a newer model, but does it actually make a difference in terms of the photo quality? I mean, do you notice a difference in this photo or anything? Now, one big thing that you do gain with the 9 Pro is the laser autofocus, but I'll be honest, I don't really notice an issue with autofocus on the regular 9. What you do gain is the option for 120 frames per second for video if you want that, and then of course the 8 megapixel f2.4 77mm telephoto lens, which gives you a 3.3x optical zoom. But the telephoto isn't really anything to be excited about. The other lenses are way better. Telephoto feels a little bit like an afterthought. Now, oddly, I don't have the ability to turn on or off HDR for video on the 9 Pro. I don't know if I'm having like a brain fart or I just can't find it. It's easily available on the 9, but I don't see it on the 9 Pro. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And there's supposed to be better low light photos on the 9 Pro, partly because of optical image stabilization. And I have noticed that to be true. When you look at the text on this image, on this color card, you'll notice that the text is way sharper on the OnePlus 9 Pro compared to the OnePlus 9. Now let's check out the video and audio quality of the front-facing camera while I tell you about this video sponsor, Public. This is the OnePlus 9 over here, and this is the OnePlus 9 Pro. So Public is a free stock trading app that mixes a social media component to all of it, which is really cool. And then here's the rear-facing camera on the OnePlus 9 over here and the OnePlus 9 Pro. Public is really cool because you can follow people like Sarah Dishi, Alexis Ohanan, Tony Hawk, Shaq, and if you want to, I guess you can follow me as well. Now, if you're trying to find out how to truly invest instead of doing the whole crazy GameStop thing, it's a great place to learn from other people. I post tons of things about what I'm trading there and why I'm trading there. So make sure to check out the link down below in the description to get a slice of free stock from companies you actually care about, like Apple, Tesla, Beyond Meat, and more. Let me know in the comments and on Public which free stock you chose. Also, what do you think about the video quality and the audio quality for both the OnePlus 9 over here and the OnePlus 9 Pro. So which phone should you get, the OnePlus 9 or OnePlus 9 Pro, especially with the difference of $241? Surprisingly, I think there may be a good argument for going with the OnePlus 9 Pro, and that's surprising for me because I like saving money and going for less expensive ones that offer pretty much the whole experience that you get on the higher model. I think it's the combination of the metal build, the fact that the screen is brighter, it has a higher resolution, it's a little bit bigger, and it has that variable refresh rate that saves on battery life. You have the wireless charging that charges faster, and then the camera that is just ever so slightly better, especially in low light. But it all comes down to what you value the most. Do you value the camera more? Well, the 9 Pro does have a little bit of a difference there. But if you don't care about the camera, the normal 9 may be a better choice. Do you care a lot about wireless charging? If that's a deal breaker to you, that makes sense for the OnePlus 9 Pro. If you don't really use the wireless charging, then go with the 9. Do you care about the metal frame or not? For me, I don't think it's a huge deal breaker, so that's up to you. And then you have the display. Do you care about a bigger screen, a higher resolution, a higher PPI, a variable refresh rate, the ability to display more colors? Does that matter to you? Make no mistake, the normal 9 has a great screen on it, and you still have 120 Hz, which adds to that really premium experience. So let me know which one you would choose by leaving a comment down below and in the This Is Tech Today community Discord chat server. And if you plan on buying a OnePlus 9 device, don't forget to use the link down below in the description to find the best price and option for you. Thanks so much for watching This Is Tech Today. Until next time.